I thought spicing up our love life meant doing something new, something exciting, something bold. I imagined candles glowing softly against the walls. I imagined confidence returning like muscle memory. I imagined us laughing in that familiar way that once made everything else disappear. I imagined desire snapping back into place, like it had only been resting and not quietly slipping away. But what I didn't expect was that it would expose everything we had been avoiding. We weren't bored. We were disconnected. Quietly, politely, for a long time. That night wasn't about passion. It was about finally seeing each other again. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. When we first met, connection felt effortless. We talked for hours about nothing and everything. Our hands found each other without thinking. Silence felt comfortable instead of awkward. Back then, intimacy wasn't something we planned. It happened in doorways, on kitchen counters, in stolen moments before work. It lived in long looks and unfinished sentences. In the way he'd pull me closer without asking. In the way I felt chosen without needing proof. We used to fall asleep tangled together, limbs everywhere, as if our bodies were afraid of losing each other overnight. We used to wake up touching, not intentionally, just naturally. Life felt lighter then, not because it was easier, but because we carried it together. Somewhere along the way, responsibility arrived quietly. Careers grew heavier. Bills stacked up. Family needs expanded. Time shrank. We didn't notice the shift at first. It didn't happen in one moment. It happened in small decisions that felt practical at the time. Staying up late scrolling instead of talking. Choosing sleep over closeness. Saying tomorrow instead of now. We told ourselves we were being mature, responsible, realistic. And in many ways, we were. But love doesn't disappear all at once. It fades in the background while you're busy surviving. We became efficient partners, good teammates, supportive in all the visible ways. We knew each other's schedules better than each other's inner worlds. We knew when to be quiet, when to give space, when not to ask questions that might lead somewhere inconvenient. We rarely argued. People would comment on how solid we seemed, how calm, how steady. I took pride in that. I told myself that drama-free meant healthy, that comfort meant success, that wanting more was childish. But late at night, when the house was quiet and the weight of the day finally lifted, I felt it. That subtle ache, that unnamed loneliness. I miss being desired without prompting. I miss being surprised. I miss the feeling of being seen in a way that went beyond logistics and shared responsibility. I didn't say it out loud because I didn't want to sound ungrateful. We had built something good, something stable, and stability felt too precious to question. He changed too, though we never named it. He became quieter with his feelings, more inward, less expressive with his affection. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at me like he was thinking something but didn't know how to say it. Other times, he seemed far away even when he was sitting right beside me. We stopped reaching for each other instinctively. Touch became intentional, measured, a hand on the shoulder, a quick kiss, a familiar routine. Intimacy became a conversation instead of an experience. Something we referenced. Something we promised to work on. We'll figure it out. Things are just busy right now. This is normal. That word, normal, it kept us quiet for a long time. The truth is, disconnection doesn't feel dramatic when you're inside it. It feels polite, orderly, manageable. It feels like life. Until one day, you realize you're standing next to someone you love, and you can't remember the last time you truly met them there. The idea to spice things up didn't come from excitement. It came from fear. Fear that if we didn't try something, anything, we would slowly drift into something unrecognizable. fear that we'd wake up years later as strangers who shared history, but not intimacy. We laughed when we said it, made jokes, kept the tone light. We told ourselves this was fun, an experiment, a reset. But underneath that was a quiet desperation neither of us wanted to admit. Please let this mean something. Please let this work. We planned the night carefully, not with joy, with pressure. I remember standing in the bathroom getting ready, staring at my reflection longer than usual. I adjusted things that didn't need adjusting. I tried to look like someone who felt confident instead of someone who was hoping not to feel rejected. I realized then how long it had been since I felt desirable without effort. When we finally sat together, the air felt different, heavy, charged in a way that didn't feel playful. We laughed more than normal, touched more deliberately. Everything felt slightly off, like we were both following instructions instead of instinct. I was hyper-aware of every movement, every reaction, every pause. And then it happened. His hand rested on me, and instead of warmth, I felt distance. Not from him, from us. My body didn't respond the way it used to. Not because I didn't care, but because something inside me didn't feel safe enough to relax. I realized how long it had been since touch felt like comfort instead of obligation. How long it had been since closeness didn't come with expectation attached. I looked at him, and I could see it in his face too. That same confusion, that same realization. So we stopped. Not abruptly, not angrily, just a quiet pause that felt louder than any argument. The silence stretched. No music, no distractions. Just the sound of our breathing and the weight of everything we hadn't said. Finally, one of us spoke. I don't feel connected to you lately. It landed softly but deeply. There was no blame in it, just truth. And once it was spoken, something cracked open. I admitted that sometimes I felt lonelier lying next to him than I did when I was alone. That I missed him even when he was right there. He admitted he felt like he was constantly failing at something he couldn't quite name. That he wanted to reach for me but didn't know how without making things worse. We talked about exhaustion, about how life had slowly drained us, about how intimacy became another place we felt inadequate instead of nourished. We talked about pressure. How desire started to feel like something we were supposed to perform instead of something we were allowed to feel. We admitted that sometimes we avoided closeness not because we didn't want each other, but because we were afraid of disappointing each other. That realization hurt the most, because it meant love was still there, buried under fear, under fatigue, under silence. We weren't broken, we were disconnected. And disconnection doesn't announce itself. It settles in quietly. It waits until you're both too tired to fight it. That night didn't end in passion. It ended in honesty. We sat there, closer now, shoulders touching. No expectations, no performance, just presence. For the first time in a long time, it felt safe to be quiet together. I realized then that intimacy isn't created by doing more. It's created by feeling safe enough to be real. You can't force closeness. You can only invite it. In the days that followed, we stopped searching for solutions that looked impressive from the outside. We stopped trying to fix things with novelty. Instead, we started paying attention. We asked questions again, not about schedules, about feelings. We listened without interrupting, without defending. We learned how to touch again gently, without expectation, without urgency. We sat together more, even when there was nothing to say. We allowed silence to be intimate again. Desire returned slowly, not in fireworks, in warmth, in the way he looked at me when I wasn't trying, in the way I leaned into him without thinking. Trying to spice up our love life didn't change everything because it made things exciting. It changed everything because it made us honest. If you're listening to this and feeling a distance you can't explain, hear this. Distance doesn't mean failure. It doesn't mean love is gone. Sometimes it just means you've both been carrying too much in silence. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop trying to fix things with effort and start fixing them with truth. This channel exists for these moments, the quiet realizations, the emotional truths we rarely say out loud. If this story felt familiar, you're not alone. Subscribe to the Heart's Archive for more stories about love, distance, healing, and finding your way back to each other. And if this resonated, leave a comment, not to explain, just to say you felt it, because being seen is often where connection begins.